How you doing? This is Bob from Con Odyssey, and today I want to give you part 3 of Food for Thought. Now, before I get started with the video, I do want to tell you this. This is in no way at all to discourage you from what you believe in. Not at all. It is food for thought. Now, the purpose of the video is to allow you, or to help you, I should say, to be able to think for yourself and not what somebody told you, and not what's written in a book, which is completely, at the time when it was written, was definitely not for you. It was something that was to benefit the people that were ruling at that particular time, especially at that time. So, this is what it's about. If you believe in Jesus, that's magnificent, because Jesus' way was fantastic. And I'm not in any way criticizing him in any way, because I would not do that, because I believe that his life was magnificent, even though I personally am not a Christian. I believe in a Celtic, but I believe in other gods as well. At any rate, let's get started. So, 200 years ago, there was a soldier in Napoleon's army who was doing an excavation in the desert. And he came upon the Rosetta Stone. Now, some people know what the Rosetta Stone is, or heard of it anyway. Now, on the Rosetta Stone, there's writing in triplicate. One language is a very ancient Egyptian language, very ancient. Another one, I believe, could be Latin, but definitely this one is Greek. Anyway, so what they found on the Rosetta Stone is this. Now, this is a legitimate stone. It's not a myth. This is what they found. It's in a museum in England. So on the stone, it tells a story of a man who was born in the desert. And this man was very much godlike. He was able to turn water into wine. He was able to feed many, many people on 2 fish. He could create miracles. He brought back the dead. He cured the lepers. He was crucified. And when he was born, 3 wise men came to witness his birth. And his mother was a virgin. So, now this story is not only on the Rosetta Stone, but it is in some of the ruins in Egypt. Here's the thing. That stone and those writings predate Jesus by 3,000 years, or just about 3,000 years. Again, this is not to make you think Jesus wasn't there, but this was what it is. It's the identical story to Jesus, only 3,000 years before. And the man was Horus, who ended up becoming he's just the god of the sky, but also the sun god. So, that is where Food for Thought starts. Food for Thought starts. Now, 3,000 years later, of course, there is Jesus, who done all the exactly same things as Horus done. Now, at that time, there was different groups of Christians. And one group was the Gnostics. Now, the Gnostics was a very big group. It was around a long time. And the Gnostics actually went all the way back to the Egyptian days. Because Horus, they did refer to him like in a word which is similar to Christ. Anyway, I imagine that the Gnostics thought that Jesus was a continuation of that, because they believed that Jesus was the son of the sun god. This is what the Gnostics truly believed. Now, Horus, his anniversary was celebrated many times on December 25th, just like Jesus' birthday. See the similarity? So the Gnostics believed that Jesus was holy, a wonderful man, done all the things that he said, but he was a sun god, not the different way. Because basically they worshipped the sun god. Now, the other groups of Christians, one believed that Jesus was the Son of God. So the Gnostics, they just believed the sun god. Another group thought he was a prophet. Now, also, what I want to tell you before we continue, is that in Rome, in St. Peters Basilica, underneath there are caverns, of course, like there is all over Rome. There are several mummies there, of some are children, some are men, or women, they don't know what's wrapped in them. They say, anyway. And laying on these mummies are plaques of the sun god. This is right underneath St. Peter's Basilica. And then there's this giant mural of Jesus in a golden chariot with wings and the sign of the sun god on his head. So obviously these are things that were there. Now, at that time, that they believed this, it was during Christ's life, and then of course for 300 and something years after, they still believed that. Constantine, who was the emperor, was a pagan, and Christianity was illegal at that time. But Constantine, the city, Rome was in peril. They were falling apart. And there were 4 other emperors from different parts of the kingdom that wanted Constantine's job, because that was a supreme emperor, I imagine. So Constantine what did go into battle, and he did go into battle with a cross. Somebody told him he won, and he decided, I'm going to become a Christian. Although Constantine became a Christian more because he wanted to keep his job and he wanted to bring the kingdom together. And the Christian population obviously must have been very large, because he thought by bringing the country together and making everybody think the same thing, he would be able to have, be supreme leader, pope, and he become pope, and all this as well, because don't forget the popes were in charge of the armies in those days. So he did. So what he did was he got the bishops together, and he says, look, there are too many Jesuses. There's got to be one. One group believes he's the Son of God, another group believes he's the Son of God, and the other group believes that he's a prophet. We can't have that, because it's a country or a kingdom divided cannot stand. You've heard that saying before. So he put them all in a room, and he created the Council of Nicaea. And it took a little time for them, but they come out with the thought that, you know what? Jesus is the Son of God. So the Gnostics lost, of course. And when they lost, the Christians who really just came out of being persecuted became the persecutors. First, what they done was they destroyed all of the books and all of the temples. They destroyed them all. And out of the 89 or so books there was, they picked a few. The Gospel and the Bible. And they started to pick and choose who they wanted to be in it. The book of Peter didn't even make it in. And Peter was supposed to be the first pope. But in reality, he was. But they didn't even put his book in there. The book of Thomas was thrown out. Many, many books. Enoch. Of all people, Enoch. Enoch was considered like almost godlike for a long time. Way before Jesus was around and after. And 325 years after, people were still reading Enoch's book. That was a book that mostly people read, like the Gospel. Well, they threw him out. They threw him out because he had different thoughts, which we will discuss Enoch in another video. We will discuss Enoch and the Abenaki in another video. At any rate, and after they'd done that, they made the Gospel and the Gospels, and there was such contradiction between the Gospels. I mean, I think it was Mark who said, well, the day that Jesus died, the earth rumbled, the sky turned black, and the tombs opened, and the dead walked the earth for 3 days. I forgot which gospel. I thought it was Mark, but you can look and you can see for yourself. And then somebody said something else. They had a lot of contradiction between them. Matter of fact, some of the writing isn't made by that apostle that's on there. It's made by other scribes who wrote stuff down, but for whatever they didn't use their name, they used a different name. I think that Mark might have been one of them, but at any rate. So now, the Christians turned around And they slaughtered everyone. Everyone who did not believe exactly what they wanted to believe. But people were still worshiping Jesus like he was the sun god, a lot of people. So they had to actually tell them to stop. And of course, if they didn't stop, they probably were killed because you were a heretic. If you didn't believe what they believed 100%, it's over. This is what drives me crazy. Here you have Jesus. Jesus was the biggest hippie in the world. He did not believe in violence at all. He did not. Whether he existed, didn't exist, but the thought of Jesus did not believe in violence. He was 100% against what God the Father was. God the Father believes in eye for an eye, kill off your enemy, all of them. He ordered the canines, killed every canine killed. Whatever they're called, canines, all killed. He ordered everyone in Jericho killed. But this goes on and on. Jesus was not like that. Jesus believed in peace, sharing. You have 2 coats, give one to your neighbor. If you smack me, you know what? I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to be cool with it. Let's try to be friends. Let's try to do this. That was Jesus. Jesus was definitely a hippie. So now they decided Jesus was the Son of God, and in his name, they were going to kill everybody. And they did. They killed off the Gnostics, whatever they could find. Later on, they killed the witches, all in God's name. And as far as the Christians are concerned, God is really Jesus, because there's 3 divine persons in one. The point is, all of this killing in the name of God, right away that should show you that something is wrong. If you believe in a good God who's merciful and who loves you, and for that matter, would sacrifice his son for you, and now you're going around killing everybody in his name, so you know right away there's something going on. Problem is they couldn't kill everybody. So what they started to do naturally was they started to preach to the children. So the children then would grow up and be Christians, because the old people couldn't be. I mean, you know, even in the Celtics, when they got to the Celts, you know, they would have liked to, they tried to kill all of the Druids. But they obviously couldn't kill them all. So what they did was run around, and on every Celtic worship site, they built a church. So the Celts would go in there. But even the Celt then, the adults knew, because they believed strongly in their gods. So what the Christians do, they made all their gods saints, like Saint Bernadette. Whatever one it was, I believe it was Bernadette. But at any rate, they made them all gods, so to get the Celts to go in and pray, worship at the church. Because after all, it was built on a site that they've been worshiping on for 100, 2,000 years. But that wasn't good enough, because the people are the people. Older people, they just in there set in their ways. They're not going to change so easy. So they kept preaching to the children until they finally changed society to be strong believers in Christ. But the thing is this, did it the wrong way. Of course, teaching children to believe in something good is wonderful, but you had to kill everybody in the process. You had to kill people in the name of the very God that was definitely passive. He wanted you to love, not kill. And another thing, Jesus really didn't want you to be a Christian. He wanted you to be a Jew. You know, Christian, when Jesus died, he was a Jew. A confirmed Jew. He was a magnificent Jew. He was an ascetic Jew to the highest. Okay, that is my opinion. But at any rate, as followers of Christ, you went ahead and you done all this, and that was magnificent. And in those days, you had to do it to lies and killing. So you can't always believe what you read in those books. Again, worshiping Jesus as what he was is magnificent. Worshiping what man tried to turn him into, that's what the problem is. And today, of course, they preach, yeah, everybody's got to love, you got to be wonderful. Meanwhile, that in the beginning, that was not it. It was you're dead if you didn't believe. You'll burn you, we'll do this to you, we'll chop you up, we'll crucify you also, whatever. And they did. The horrors, if you look back in history, what they done, the horrors of the church, was unbelievable. Now the church is okay. But then they were horrible what they done. the atrocities they committed, and they killed you and tortured you in the worst possible way. Similar to the Romans. Matter of fact, they made the Romans look like sissies compared to the torture that they gave you. So understand that. And understand that you yourself, in your heart, this is where God is, here. The gods are in you. You yourself have to make a decision on how you feel and what your relation should be with God. Not what's in a book written by someone who did it for their benefit, not yours. And when I say if you are a good Christian, practice what Jesus really wanted you to do. You know what he wanted you to do? He wanted you to start to teach your children to love, not to hate. And when I say that, you look at me and go, what are you talking about? I'm telling you what I'm talking about. If you teach your children that this group of people are no good anymore, and that group is wonderful, that group is magnificent, that group is evil, you know what you're doing? You think you're eliminating something that was done wrong? No. Think about it. What you're doing is making that group, your children hate that group and like that group. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to grow up hating in a different way, but they're going to grow up hating. You can't do that. And that goes for everybody, no matter what color you are. If you think there's no hatred in every race, you're wrong. Stop teaching your children to hate. If you want a better society, you want things to be wonderful and really good, teach your children not to hate. Teach them everybody's the same. Love everybody. Period. And I'm talking about everybody, not just you say the white man or the black man or the green man. I'm saying all of you. If you stop doing that, society slowly will change into a wonderful place that you want it to be, like the Garden of Eden, for real. But as long as you keep up the crap that you've been doing for centuries, all you're doing is changing one prejudice for another. That's all you're doing. And you say, yes, today I fought a blow and I won for prejudice. No, you didn't. What you did was you created a different kind of prejudice, but you still done the same thing, so you're guilty. Stop. Teach your children to love the gods. Teach your children to be close to the gods. Gods are magnificent in every way. They do not want you to kill each other or hate each other. And I'll tell you something else. If you believe in reincarnation, like I do, and of course, the Tibetan monks are magnificent. They believe in reincarnation. The point is this, though, when I say that. Never criticize somebody for who they are, because the next life, when you're reincarnated, you might be the same person that is. Not the same individual, the same background. You might be black, green, white, whatever. If you're white, you don't like black people. If you're black, you don't like white people. Next time, you probably be black or white, whatever it might be. Understand that. We are souls that are traveling for perfection. We have to learn everything. We have to learn perfection. We are great immortal souls. This body don't mean nothing. It's just rented. It dies. But the soul goes on forever. Help your soul to travel. Help your soul to understand and love. Yes, love your God, whatever the God you feel that's important to you, love him. You need to do that. But you're never going to truly reach enlightenment as long as you keep hating the way things are happening now, and has happened forever. You'll never get there. Ever. Because you're teaching one forgiveness, one hatred. Then you go over here, one forgiveness, one hatred. It'll never change. Isolate your children from the bull crap. If you do that, you will reach perfection. You will be magnificent. Remember that. God is within all of us. You know, Jesus told Thomas that God is within all of us. The kingdom is here. Here. Not in the sky, not in the sea. It's here. Those are his words, not mine. Think about that. So, thank you very much for listening. Hopefully I didn't bore you. Next video is probably going to be about Enoch and the Abenaki. That's going to be interesting. And hopefully you'll subscribe, like this video, and send me some comments. So, again, blessed be. Namaste. Have a good day.